All right, the Ravin R29X had this crossbow for about 2 weeks now, and here's my initial impressions of that crossbow. The first and probably the biggest thing about this crossbow that I can tell you is that Ravin's advertised speeds, they are reality. It really does get the speeds that are advertised. Ravin arrow, 100 grainer, Burnt Coyote Lumenok. This is the Ravin arrows with the Burnt Coyote Lumenok. Total 402.6 grains. Oh yeah. All right, in the crossbow basement, we've got the Ravin, the R29X with a 100 grainer on there. We got a 100 grainer. We're gonna turn this dude on FPS to find out the feet per second of this arrow. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to ease the safety off here, get in the habit of doing that. And we'll do a speed test through the Bulldog. Hopefully don't pass clean through the Bulldog. We're gonna find out. And let's poke one through there. Holy crap, went right through the Bulldog, pretty much. 453. 453. Did you see the stuff fly off the other end of that? I'm gonna unhook you a little bit here off this tripod. And we're gonna look at that, but 453. That is one loud crossbow. Wadded that arrow up. It does not like the Bulldog. One bit does not like these Ravins. So we're going to have to shoot at the Kinetic on the next one, I think. But anyway, close range is what you expect. That 150 is going to go clean through there. But that is the 100 grainer. And if you look, yeah, we've got to be more careful than that. Whoa! Whoa! So it blew a hole in my target, that's for sure. That is not, this is a piece of Bulldog. That's what a Bulldog looks like on the inside. Man, put that back in here. I'm sorry, Bulldog. I'm sorry. We'll get some duct tape and fix that up. Good Lord. Bits and pieces from that target leading clear back here all the way into our box room, the room that I call the box room. Turn that light on. But all the way into this room, that's part of the target right there. Ravin arrow. I'm a little afraid to beef things up a little bit with the 150 grainer, but I did with the Burnt Coyote Lumenok Ravin style arrows. What do we got? What do we got? We got 451.3 grains. Oh yeah. We got the Ravin with the 150 grainer. We're going to see how this goes. I'm a little nervous to sneak this through there. I don't know. Boom, another bullseye, 437. So hats off to Ravin on that, 100%. Let's talk about the crank, shall we? I know, for years I've been saying I don't want to move up to a crank. It's one of the reasons I've resisted these more modern crossbows to have cranks. I really did not have good experiences with cranks. I've only cranked a handful of times, probably 3 or 4 times ever with a crank. But I gotta say, with friend of Bunjie, Jim from Backyard Broadheads, with his help, I was able to get the hang of that crank very quickly. And frankly, I kind of like that crank. That is one thing that I really, really like about this Ravin design. The ability to slide that down the rail, snap that in place, crank that crossbow back. Fantastic. It really is a neat little thing. Targets. That was a big concern of mine. What are we going to do about targets? Faster crossbows need faster targets. I wrote about this on the Death by Bunjie gear page recently, did a blog on that. 2 targets that I bought for this crossbow, specifically for the more modern speed crossbows. And I got to say, the Morrell Kinetic 1.0, beautiful target.
We'll do 2 finger tests. Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. For broadheads, you got to have a separate target for broadheads, right? The broadhead target that we chose was the Big Shot Titan 10X. I can tell you, you probably already saw this in our watermelon test, shooting that target at point blank range with the Ravin R29X. Boom, not a problem. It pulled out pretty easy. It's going to vary broadhead to broadhead. The SWAT Moab did not pull out of there nearly as easily. Not all perfect, right? Not all good stuff, not all good news to report. There is a glaring issue with the Ravin R29X and also with pretty much all the faster, more modern crossbows. I am a big fan of the Burnt Coyote Lumenok. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I've been shooting those for 12, 13 years, something like that. I really, really have grown as a crossbow hunter around the Burnt Coyote Lumenok. Ooh, the Lumenok, well lit, thank you.
Mr. Burt Coyote, whoever you are.
I shoot them all the time in the backyard. That's all I use for target. That is all I use for hunting. I use them all the time. They turn on and off very easily. I know how to work with them. It's very important to me to have that lighted knock. We've dabbled with a couple other lighted knock options, and I don't like them as much. But the Burt Coyote has never let me down. I really, really like that knock. Unfortunately, with Ravin, right, you use their arrows or you're on your own. That's kind of their policy. You will use a Ravin arrow with your Ravin crossbow or you void the warranty. All right, point taken. So that means, for me, no warranty. I bought a whole bunch of their premium arrows. They're .001s that are lighted, the whole bit. They have a Burris Coyote Lumenok pre-installed. Okay, that should be good enough, right? What they don't tell you is these are the absolute worst design ever. And they do not turn off. You cannot turn them off. And you can't take them out to try and get them to fit better. And you can buy replacement Nocks, but the batteries are glued in. You can't replace the batteries. Don't tell you any of this stuff up front. You kind of learn it as you go along. But the arrow itself, very nice arrow. Okay, I have no complaints about the arrows. They're shooting perfectly. They're accurate the whole bit, right? .001. If you knock tune them, or, well, you can't really knock tune them because you can't turn the knock, right? The problem with them is that you shoot them and that knock goes off and you cannot extinguish it. And I have knock pullers, right? I have various tools that I've used over the years and they won't come out of there. I contacted various people about this. I contacted Wyvern Creations. They have a video about how you can put this on a string and work it real good. I contacted Burt Coyote directly and had a very nice phone conversation with folks there and learned that they don't make these anymore. They made them 2 years ago, sold a whole bunch of them to Ravin. The problem is you got this like aluminum bushing and you cram that knockdown in there and it sort of shaves the aluminum a little bit and makes it even tighter. So the fix, according to Wyvern, was put this on a string and turn it until such time as the knock wears that aluminum down enough that you can slide it in and out better. That's a great plan. However, when I tried to do that, it pulled the entire bushing out with the knock, right? So there's my Ravin arrow that I paid a fortune for with a lighted knock, and you can see there's the bushing. And you can see, if you look at it, you know, good luck getting that out of there now. The knock is glued in place, and that's their fix so it doesn't come out when it hits the target and stops too fast. But now you can't replace it without gluing a new one in. Maybe you can pull that out of there, I don't know. But you really can't get this out of there. It even tore the bushing out, right? This was cemented in place. It was epoxied in place, and it pulled the whole bushing out with the knock. This is a junker, right? This is a dud of a product, and I will never be able to use these, period. So for me, there is no warranty with a Ravin crossbow because I will not use these arrows. I have to find something else to use. This is not, I can't even get the bushing back in here. This is not a good product, right? It just isn't. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they're full of it. If anybody tells you otherwise, they have not used a Burris Coyote Lumenok out of a zombie slayer that turns on and off with your fingers and works perfectly every time and lasts forever and all that sort of thing. Problem with this is, of course, is it is a very high-speed crossbow. I get that. It requires a bushing to withstand the amount of force that when you pull the trigger is applied to that knock. It's inertia. This arrow's sitting there. It doesn't want to move. An object like this arrow that is at rest tends to stay at rest unless acted upon by a force. And that force is so great that when it hits it, the arrow still doesn't want to move, but that knock's got to go somewhere because the string is pushing it. And so it's going to push it straight through that arrow shaft. Ask me how I know. One of the options that I tried was a Lumen arrow from Lumenok. Now, this comes with a Ravin knock. Again, it's a snap-on knock. You need that snap-on knock because this is a railless crossbow and it has no rail to slide down. So it does have to snap on here because that string is going to carry it down the rail as it leaves the crossbow because there's no rail. So it can't rest on something. It's just the rollers in the front and the knock in the back carrying that arrow. I get it, right? 100%. Got to snap that on here. These, however, are Burris Coyote Lumenoks that snap on. They are designed for Ravin.
The Lumen arrow from Lumenok. 150 grain field point. The Burris Coyote Lumenok, of course, installed on the back end, and some blazer veins. That's pretty nice. 480.3 grains.
When I shot one just through the chronograph in the backyard to try and get a speed for this new arrow, had a little bit of a problem.
On fire. And poke one through there if we can. There goes that.
Inertia. That string pushed that knock through into the shaft, broke the knock, right? Broke the knock.
Well, there you go. There is why you don't shoot anything other than Ravin arrows out of a Ravin crossbow.
That's why you got to have that little bushing, right? That little bushing to cement into the end of that shaft to provide that extra strength that is needed. Talked about this before. This is a consequence of changing things, right? Well, every time you change one thing, like the speed of your crossbow, you change everything else or something else down the line. You got to resight in. You need, when you make a great advancement in speed, now we need new arrows, right? We need new targets to stop those arrows, that sort of thing. It is the nature of the beast. Now, when Ravin says, use their arrows and their arrows only, what does that mean? It means use their arrows and their arrows only. So that crossbow right now, you may have wondered, how come that crossbow is not appearing in this video? How come you're not holding it here, showing it to us, Rich, as you're singing the praises of this crossbow? It is because it is in the shop, getting a whole new front end. So this really calls into question the whole Ravin concept for me, because one of the things I really enjoy doing is building arrows and tinkering with arrows. And I've been doing that for a long, long time. And I learned more and more about arrows. Arrows are one of the most important parts of the crossbow for me. And I really, really enjoy doing that. And if I'm unable to do that, and if I'm unable to shoot a Burris Coyote Lumenok, and if I can't turn the knock off, then I am really not a satisfied Ravin customer. That's what that is. And it's not Ravin's fault. Again, this is not a Ravin problem. This is something that I knew getting into it. So this is a Rich Wilson problem, right? It is entirely my fault that that crossbow blew the string off. That's my fault, not Ravin's fault, right? There's people watching this and they're going to type in here. They're going to type in,
oh, Rich, I told you those Ravins are so fast you can't use them. They're dangerous.
that is not the case, right? It is simply a fact that I used the wrong arrow. And I knew this was going to happen. I kind of, in my mind, my wife was saying, do you think those new arrows are going to work? And I was like, eventually they're going to be a problem, right? I did not think it would be the first time that I pulled the trigger with one of them. The Lumen arrow, very good arrow, not good for 450 feet per second and above, right? That is something that's going to be a problem. And I do think that we are Burris Coyote challenged now. I think that the Burris Coyote Lumenok really is not going to make it at 450 feet per second and above. That's my personal opinion. I am not an engineer, right? It's just my personal opinion based on this event. But you don't see them in use in those higher speed crossbows. Maybe Scorpid, but that's a different animal, right? But I don't think that that is something that's going to work. So I might be in a position where I got to look at a different lighted knock. I don't like that idea because I can kind of see where that's going, but we shall see. And if you think that is my biggest concern about this crossbow, you are wrong. I have one more thing that I can report, that this crossbow has kind of ruined me for every other crossbow because of this, right? This one other issue. And that is, this crossbow is loud. And it is not just me. When I shoot this crossbow, I get a ring for a brief second in this ear, ringing in this ear, because I'm right-handed. Boom. Bing. Right there. And it goes away immediately. And I'm not the only one that experienced this. Friend of Bunjie, Jim from Backyard Broadheads, he experienced that. Friend of Bunjie, Jim, One-Eyed Archer, also experienced that.
Thoughts?
Loud.
Yeah. You need earplugs, don't you?
Hey, yeah.
A little bit. Did it make your ear ring a little bit?
I feel a little twinge in my...
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Weird.
And because of that, it has caused me to start flinching again. This is something that when we first start out in crossbows, we flinch a little bit, you know. I don't like that. Done videos on it, wrote in my books about this. I do not like that. I like to be able to watch that arrow go, or at least watch the Lumenok go to the target. And that's why I've trained myself over the years, gotten comfortable with doing that. With Bunjie, not a problem. I sit there, boom, right? Watch that arrow go. It takes forever to get there, and I get to watch the whole thing, right? With more modern crossbows, the SWAT X1, the Scorpid Deathstalker, same thing. Able to shoot those crossbows, watch those arrows go, or at least see the Lumenok hit the target. So I have that confirmation, and it increases my effectiveness, I believe, as a crossbow hunter. I cannot do that with this Ravin. At least not yet. Watch the watermelon test videos. Friend of Bunjie, Jim, One-Eyed Archer, he actually spotted this and brought it to my attention. I'm surprised nobody who watched that video commented on that. I was waiting for that comment. But watch my face when I shoot that crossbow. Look at the face that I made. That is our Ravin face, right? The watermelon face. That is not the face of somebody who's really comfortable shooting that crossbow. That is not that face. And in fact, when I'm in the backyard shooting Bunjie, getting ready for my big Maryland trip, I found myself flinching again, right? And remember, this is before that string broke. This is before the mishap in the backyard. This is when that crossbow was still working perfectly. And I'm that uncomfortable shooting it. I don't know that I get that back. I don't know if I can get it back with that crossbow to the point where I feel comfortable with that crossbow because of what's happened now. But it's robbed me of 15 years, going on 15 seasons of practice to keep my eye open and get really comfortable with Bunjie. That's not good, right? That's not good, and I don't appreciate that. So the future of the Ravin crossbow, its future in the Death by Bunjie family of crossbows, is uncertain. For that reason, I haven't given it a name yet. I got a few choice names I could give it, but, but we'll hold off on that. Is this just the curse of Bunjie? For right now, I'm interested in your thoughts on this whole video, the various issues that I've discussed here. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know what you think I should do going forward as far as the Ravin is concerned. I'm anxious to hear. And until next time, all hail Bunjie.